Here's my keys to the game for the Alabama versus Cincinnati football games. Okay, statistically first, Cincinnati has averaged 39.2 points per game, and they only allowed 16.1 points per game, 16.1. Offensively, Cincinnati, 248.7 passing yards per game, and 179.4 rushing yards per game. Defensively, they have allowed 168.3 passing yards per game and only allowed 137.5 rushing yards per game. Alabama has given points per game on offense is 22.2, and defensively they allowed 20.2. Passing yards per game, 347.9 passing yards and 147.6 rushing yards per game. Defensively, they have allowed 223.3 passing yards per game and 82.8 rushing yards per game. I tell you right now, the pass defense for Alabama may come into play here. It may come into play because that's the weaker of the two. And Alabama's offense right now, they're kind of banged up, so to speak. I don't know why. Cincinnati, they have only allowed 18 sacks all year and 44 tackles for loss, and 97. The defensively they had, and the offensively they turned the ball over 18 times, 9 interceptions, 9 fumbles, and they had a safety on and a block kick. But defensively they forced 30 turnovers, 18 interceptions, 12 fumbles, and they had 37 sacks and 97 tackles for loss. Alabama, I don't know why their stats think on Alabama is like blurred, not really that good. But I tell you one thing, the key for both teams in this game, Alabama needs to stay consistent from what they were last game. That's number one, because they've been inconsistent all year, and and right now they're banged up. They only have 2 scholarship running backs left. And not only that, they lost one of their best wide receivers for the year, and they lost one of their best defensive backs at corner on defense. So that's kind of a big problem for them, is their health. And I know if I'm Cincinnati, I would try to slow the game down as much as you can, just to keep that Alabama offense and Bryce Young off the field as much as possible. And not only that, Alabama, they give up passing yards per game. So Desmond Ridder is definitely a more experienced quarterback here, but not necessarily the best one on the field. So, and Cincinnati's run defense has to show up in this game. I don't think Alabama's going to run the ball a ton because of their scholarship running back limit, because, injuries. But I would dare to say they need to find a way just to keep them off the field as much as you can for Cincinnati. Come on. Okay. Sacks, Alabama's forced 46 sacks, and they allowed 35 of those. So really, Cincinnati needs to find a way to get pressure on Bryce Young, because that Alabama offensive line has not looked the typical Alabama offensive line. It's going to definitely have to be won on the trenches, and I think Cincinnati's defensive line could give them trouble. And I know people are going to say, look, Alabama's more talented. They should win. They should, but not always. And it's not transit property wins. And remember, Cincinnati last year almost beat Georgia. Okay, here we go. Alabama has 107 tackles for loss, and they have allowed 89 tackles for loss. They only turned the ball over 10 times all year, 4 interceptions and 6 fumbles, Well, and they had a block kick on them. Alabama's defense has forced 20 turnovers, 15 interceptions, 5 fumbles, 47 sacks, and yep. So yeah, I do think Alabama needs to find a way to overwhelm Cincinnati early, because I don't think Cincinnati's going to go away quietly in this game. Honestly, because Cincinnati they're going to play with nothing to lose here, because they're the underdog. They're being counted out as we speak. And I just don't get why they're such a big underdog, like 13.5 points. I think it could be probably 10 points. Anyways, if you like this content, hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys later. And it's going to be an interesting playoffs this year. That's for sure.